Woke up early in the morning just to feel the light of day. Had to open up my window, get the shadows out my way. Banana pancakes for my problems, find me jamming old Jack Johnson. Swear I heard them angel calls, lay outside as heaven falls. Heaven falls, heaven falls, as heaven falls.
Okay. Whose am I? Is the question. Alright, so to start off this video, it's probably going to be my testimony. To start it off, I'm going to read some from Galatians and from Romans. So let me find that real quick. Here we go. We got Galatians 2:20. So, my old self has been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. So I live in this earthly body by trusting in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. So Galatians 2:20. And then we also have Galatians 6:14 through 17. So, as for me, may I never boast about anything except the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ. Because of that cross, my interest in this world has been crucified, and the world's interest in me has also died. It doesn't matter whether we have been circumcised or not. That's a thing relevant for the history of this book. But yeah. What counts is whether we have been transformed into a new creation. May God's peace and mercy be upon all who live by this principle. They are the new people of God. From now on, don't let anyone trouble me with these things, for I bear on my body the scars that show I belong to Jesus. That's Paul from prison. So, he has scars because he's been beaten for preaching the gospel. But, to get started, so my testimony. I was born in Park City, Utah in 2006. And obviously, great place, very affluent. Super blessed to have been able to grow up there for part of my life. But we moved away from there in 2017. Throughout that time, I had learned to ski as soon as I was able to walk. Made a lot of great friends. I played lacrosse for 7 years. But I would never really, we would go to church off and on. Usually just my mom and I. And I would only go for, the donuts afterwards. But yeah, it was I would hear, I didn't even listen during the Sunday sermon stuff, so I didn't really have any idea about who God or who Jesus might be. But when I moved here in 2017, I'm extremely thankful for that, partly because Park City, since it is a tourist destination, happens to have a lot of partying, and kids thinking it's all cool and all of that get into it very young age. I remember there were kids overdosing on new drugs called pink, just kids having drug overdoses at the ages of 12, which is obviously not a great environment to be in if that is what's going to happen. But yeah, I was blessed in the way that I wasn't really around those, I wasn't in those environments. I was able to go to a private school, which was, pretty solid environment. But when we moved here in 2017, because the company my dad was working for told us we needed to come out onto the East Coast, we chose Charlottesville, Virginia, which is where I am now. It's beautiful. I love it here. And yeah, so once I got here, we have a lot of family here, and they connected me with Wildlife, which was a great place where I could just come and be in community with others. I didn't really understand anything about the gospel. I just thought it was a blast to come out and have color wars and jello wars, etc. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's these giant events. And it sounds weird, but like we'll put a whole bunch of like dyed cornstarch together or like Jello, and we'll like all have a giant war with it. But during those events, we'd also have times to hear about Jesus and to hear about the gospel, which is now what I get the chance to preach, which is what I'm going to do with YouTube. Yeah, I was able to learn more about the gospel and all of that. I didn't really, like, my parents, even though my family is mainly secular, but despite that, they are so loving, and they're so, like, I'm not saying if you're secular, you can't be loving. I'm just saying my family was exceptionally loving in the way that we were able to host campaigners, and my parents were fine with that. So campaigners is like the Bible study version of all of that. I didn't even really know much about the Bible at the time. But so throughout these meetings, I would sort of learn more here and there about it. We would go through Mark pretty much every year, I think. And, you know, it gets kind of repetitive, even, like, especially because I didn't know how to study the Bible at the time. So I was just, like, reading it. I was like, okay, I've read this before. Yeah. So it didn't really hold any significance over my life. Fast forward, 8th grade, 9th grade, so 8th grade spring, COVID came out. You know, massive time for everyone to just be back at their homes. Some people, that was a great thing. Some people, it wasn't. For me, it was kind of, it was a great thing, I would say, because, like, despite COVID happening and all the people, you know, getting sick and all that, I was able to, I sort of turned into a robot, which was not great, but, like, my daily schedule would sort of look like this, because I had this end goal in mind of making the Western Albemarle varsity soccer team. And that was like my biggest thing, because I had gotten into soccer when I moved to Charlottesville, and I was like, all right, I'm going to show all these guys up. Like, this is going to be crazy. And so in doing that, yeah, I was able to see, I was like, COVID's going to be this perfect time where I can just lock in and grind every single day until I'm good enough to make the team. Alas, I am not on the team. Great success. But I was able to take that time, and my daily schedule goes as follows. So I would wake up, have a little time. I would just like come downstairs, eat, watch YouTube while I eat. Typically when I was watching YouTube, or when I say I'm watching YouTube, during this bout of like COVID pandemic time, it was either on the topics of like kinesiology, nutrition, or anatomy. I learned so much about that throughout the time. I also learned a little bit about toxicology and a bit more about biology. But so when I say I'm watching YouTube, that's what I mean. I would come in, have breakfast while watching YouTube. I got in contact with a UVA men's soccer player that was kind enough to send me his workouts every day, so I would do those. They were like high-intensity interval training workouts, and I screenshotted them every day, and I ended up getting to the point where I would do them twice a day, which seems obsessive, and all of this seems obsessive because it was, but it was not at the point where it was a disorder. It was having a goal and utilizing all the time I had to try and chase that. I would have the breakfast, watch YouTube. I would go off, do a HIIT workout, and get a bunch of touches on the soccer ball. I tried to do 1,000 every day. Anyway, lunch, that thing again with the workout, soccer touches. Dinner, and then I would sometimes do more soccer touches after, and I would just chill, be with my family, do whatever I wanted to do. But yeah, so that was pretty much all of my COVID, and I didn't really get much more into the Bible, but I was involved with Young Life, and we had a small group where we would have a little Bible study. It's just me and a couple friends and our leader throughout 9th and 10th grade. And I want to say come 11th grade is where I ended up deciding I actually need to try and figure out if this is true or not, because I've been following it for, 5 years at this point. So I was like, all right, all these teachings are great and stuff. Where's the actual evidence behind it? Like, I need to look into this. So I would say, 11th grade spring is when I started pretty much locking in spiritually, in the way that I would start doing quiet times. So during those times, quiet times, if you don't know what they are, just like, typically it's in the morning because you have nothing else on your mind at that time, so you can really embrace the gospel. But so they're pretty much these times where you just like set aside and you're like, I'm not doing anything but just reading the Bible and praying right now. I started out with like just a small bit. Like I was like, okay, I'm just gonna read like this little section every day, and so I was doing that, and it was pretty good. Like I was reading through Matthew, and like, I don't know, I was dialing in a bit. As soon as I started doing the quiet times, my spiritual life ramped up immediately. Like I was able to see God more in everyday life. I was able to see God more in those around me, even if, like, regardless of religion or if they're secular or not. All right, where were we? So obviously, my camera died. Not great fun. I think I continued to speak for at least 10 minutes after it died, so that was not a plan. But I think where we were was when my faith began to like ramp up, 11th grade. So I think where we were was quiet times, stuff like that. Yeah, so quiet times really helped augment my faith. Like I was just boom, 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 boom. When I was in, and like I was receiving a lot of what the Spirit had. And come summertime, I got involved with 3 things pertaining to Young Life. So the first one was Young Life Summer Camp. Fantastic experience. I was able to meet all these incredible people that I still get to keep in touch with today. And they're just such amazing people, and they've helped lead me in great ways, and beautiful experiences that I'll never forget happened. And yeah, so next thing, I'm a wildlife leader, so I was able to come back 2 weeks later and come and lead wildlife camp also at Rockbridge. And one of our older mentors got me and my buddy to head on in and read through Romans with him throughout that week. And I think we read Romans 3 through 7, 3 through 8 maybe. And I loved it. I was like getting dialed in because I was like, I've never read Romans before and I've wanted to for so long. This is like so amazing. Sorry, there's a beautiful bird right there. But yeah, got dialed in on Romans, loved it. If you haven't read it, highly recommend. So Romans, and then I was like loving it so much. I was feeling the presence of God. I think part of that was from being in nature. I'm not really in nature right now. I'm in my backyard, but like it's kind of in nature. You got like plants and stuff. Lovely. Yeah. So I did that, and at this time, when I wasn't at Rockbridge, I had a bioinformatics internship, which sounds probably way fancier than it actually was. I ended up learning a lot about immunology, which was great. Obviously super grateful for this internship. It was something that not a lot of kids get to experience, so super grateful for that. But it also showed me that it was something that I didn't want to pursue in my life. And come the end of Wildlife's Bridge summer camp, I was like, okay, I feel like I really can't leave Rockbridge right now. Like I gotta come back here soon. And strangely enough, when we were doing these summer campaigners things, one of our Young Life leader dudes was talking about how Rockbridge was having openings for work crew because people had been leaving due to extraneous circumstances. I don't know if that's the right word right now. Extenuating is what I meant to say. But yeah, so that popped up, and it was like literally running a gun. Like it took probably 3 days to get this ready, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and go to Rockbridge for work crew, and I ended up going for 9 days. I was super grateful that my parents had been willing for me to go to do work crew because I'd been praying on it for a little bit, especially with some of my friends. Yeah, it was absolutely nuts. The diligence of like people in faith I saw there was absolutely crazy. I'd never seen that before. And God really presented himself to me through that. And I think I had already touched on that in the work crew video, or in the servitude video. But yeah, faith was really increasing at this point, really up there, and was becoming super, super personal. It was no longer religion, but rather a relationship. I think I was following religion for like the first probably 4 or 5 years almost, and then come 11th grade, spring and summer, it really turned into a relationship for me. It became personal. And now we get to be with Jesus, which is amazing. But just throughout the summer, like I really, my faith was augmented and was increasing at a rate that I had not expected. It was beautiful. And so from there, I ended up I'm still a big part of Young Life, still a wildlife leader, all of that. I became very intentional with how I was going about doing that. And in having my faith increase so much, I was thinking that, like I'd been thinking about this for a while, but I wanted to get a believer's baptism. For those of you who don't know what that is. Or it's like a confirmation. So typically when a Christian family has a kid, they'll take their kid to church and get them baptized as like a baby, or what I like to call it is dedicated, because it's more of a commitment of this family to raise up a kid in that faith. I'm not entirely sure why my family did it. I think my mom was pushing on it, which I'm grateful for that too, where it's led me. But yeah, so I was able to get a believer's baptism saying, this is my faith, this is exactly how I want to dedicate my life to Jesus. And that was December 17th, 2023. Beautiful day. I got baptized with one of my good friends, Gray Thacker, and it was amazing. So a couple weeks later, I went to Passion 2024. Beautiful time. Holy cow. I've never seen God move like that before. 55,000 kids ages 18 to 25 all coming together and worshiping Jesus for our salvation. And it was just like so pure and so holy. Like I'd never experienced anything like that. I'd experienced I was able to see people speaking in tongues. Like people were literally stretched out on the ground because of the weight of God's glory was on them. And it's like, it sounds so abstract to us, but it's like when you're there, you can feel it, and it's hard to explain through a camera, but you just got to be there. Passion 2025. That was so awkward, but be there. It's gonna be epic. But yeah, so Passion was big, and then since then I've still been doing my quiet times and stuff, and it is currently March 19th, which is great. So I was able to do all that servitude, like the stuff I talked about in the servitude video. I went to Breakaway, went to Wildlife Winter Weekend, and went to Work Crew again for Breakaway, which is just a weekend long. All at Rockbridge, beautiful times, and the Lord is just so good. He continues to show me new stuff every day. So yeah. Also, I want to caveat that if I ever say something stupid because I'm a human, don't take that as never take what I'm saying as, okay, I won't say never, but don't take what I'm saying as the gospel, because obviously I'm a human, I'm imperfect. I'm going to be doing, I'm a silly little human that makes mistakes all the time. So, go read it yourself. This is New Living Translation, aka NLT. They're New International Version's a popular one. They're both great, King James is also popular, oddly enough, even though it's pretty hard to read. But, No One Translation is greater than the other. You just gotta like take the translation, and depending on how things are worded in certain places, like it could be different meaning than what you might first understand based on context. Other stuff like that. But read the Bible. Don't be taking my messages as your time with the Bible, because I can't be a middleman for faith. And honestly, a relationship with Jesus is so beautiful that if you're wanting it for yourself, make it personal. Go do the stuff yourself, and it's gonna be, I promise you, it will improve your life. It's improved mine, and it is the best decision I've ever made. But yeah, so life is beautiful. Relationship with Jesus is beautiful. And I want to say that I love you guys. Sorry for my camera dying. I'll probably throw in some clips of shoulders and arms from yesterday, and maybe some from legs tonight. I'm about to go hit them. Las piernas. Yeah. So, God loves you. I love you. Thanks for watching. And I will see you guys in the next clip. But this is the last part of me talking, probably. So I love y'all. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.
A few moments later. 2,000 years later. 1 eternity later.
Yeah. Sorry. Wait, can we do the octopus thing, guys? Because we're all buff enough to do it.
I'm that thing?
So someone goes on. I think we all. No. So wait, you have to fix some path. No, you're not lined up. Why not? Gosh, get in position, man. Right. 3, 2, 1. Alright, type shit. I wonder if this looks cool. How do I stop it?
Hey guys, one last thing. Just look at the sky. Holy cow. Psalms 19:1 talks about the heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. How true that is, man. Holy cow. Just take a minute. It's beautiful.